All right, so Black Myth Wukong is making waves and headlines because the game is everywhere and people are loving it for two main reasons. Number one, it's a good game. I haven't played it yet, but apparently it's a good game. And number two, it basically says "fuck you" to wokeness. And honestly, like I don't want a game to like be good simply because they're saying "fuck you" wokeness. Like, because don't be wrong, I don't like DEIs and wokeness any more than the next person. But I think Black Myth is really making a point and really standing on business by having, apparently it's like having insane numbers. I really want to play the game, I just can't right now. Because I will soon, but I just can't play it right now. But I will have actually it's a pretty big time right now, at least for me, because 5.0 Genji is coming out in like a couple days, and I am gonna stream that. And I want to play Black Myth Wukong, but I want to do like 3 days straight of just playing that game, just playing the hell out of it, and going through it. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. It's really hard because it's fucking everywhere. But yeah, I'm really excited for Black Myth Wukong. I want to play it. Apparently, it's like going insane. Apparently, it's higher. I think I read that it was higher than Elden Ring when that game came out, and still haven't played Elden Ring. It's sitting on my computer. But yeah, that's just what it is. I want to see. I literally don't know any really that much about the situation. I know Black Myth Wukong is basically like, it's like vindicated so many people because it's a single player game and it's like making a shit ton of money. Because I know live service people are really having a hard time liking live service games right now because there's just so many, and like they're not really a lot of them really aren't that good. But here, I'm about to find out, get the scoop, get the information on Black Myth Wukong, the whole situation with that, and I don't know. I'm curious to see what's going on with that.
Damn. Talk about a powerhouse launch for a video game. I'm, of course, referring to Black Myth Wukong, which has taken over headlines because of the insane numbers we're seeing.
It looks really good too. Apparently, there's this whole debate whether it's Souls like or not. I don't really know. Um, but it looks interesting. I know it's about like Journey to the West, which is like basically every like almost everything is based on or like has inspiration from Journey to the West. Uh, was it Journey to the West or Journey to the East? I don't remember. I think it's probably Journey to the West. But it looks really good. I've seen clips of it. I'm just waiting to play the fuck out of that game.
For this game, the title has been surrounded by much hype and anticipation. That first trailer alone, I remember way back when, kind of being blown away by it, and since then every trailer has garnered tons of views and the audience for the game.
I remember this game really didn't gain that much traction when the first trailer came out. Like there was some talk about it, but there wasn't really much about the game that people could latch onto. So I don't remember. I remember there really wasn't that much hype for Black Myth Wukong when the first trailer came out. Because I remember when the first trailer came out and I watched it and I was like, it looks pretty good, but it was like nothing special right now. But then fast forward, however long ago it was, when did the first trailer come out? I think it was like maybe close to a year ago, maybe a little bit more, when the first trailer came out, and then yeah, here we are with the release, and it's really telling how much it really goes to show that like triple A games are really struggling right now. Like a lot of people are really either playing like a lot of people are really just playing indie games, and then like they have like one like live service game that they jump to, or like they fall back on when there's no really good games to play right now, because really like games aren't gaming is like on a slow decline. There's like AAA games. There's not really that many good AAA games coming out nowadays. Like straight up, in the last like 5 years, I can only think of like three, maybe four AAA games that like have really left an impression on people, which would be like God of War, Elden Ring, fucking Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, off the top of my head, that's all I can really think of. Just the gaming has just been on a hard decline. These AAA games, and a lot of it's purely because of the wokeness. Because a lot of these because of the wokeness. Because like it's really annoying when you play a game and they're trying to shove a narrative down your throat, that is clearly like too many people, too many of these studios, especially like Sweet Baby Inc. Right, with all these DEI hires. The problem is that they want to write a narrative, not a story, and that's the thing that makes it so annoying because it's like the whole strong female character debacle, right? Where for some reason it's so hard for these not even just gaming publishers, like even Hollywood, it's so hard for these people to make a good female character because they don't make a good female character that has quality writing. It's just like goes through struggles. They make a female character where the only thing that's pushing her is to spite men, right? That's like literally that's why Captain Marvel, like all these other like woke products and like games and movies and all that shit, they all bomb because it's just no one likes wokeness. They want a good story, not some character that's doing this shit because they're a certain trait. They have a certain trait that they can't change. Like no one likes that shit. Just make a good story and like really, and if you really think about it, the best characters are characters that like their gender doesn't even matter. Right? Like their gender really doesn't matter. Right? Like if you take like some of the best written characters, obviously context matters, but like let's use God of War for example, right? And like if you swap out Atreus, if you make Atreus a girl instead of a guy or a boy, like I don't think that would change the story that much. It would still be the same trials and tribulations. At least that's what I think of, right? But that's just my perspective.
Has been substantial because of the material that it tackles, the Monkey King kind of mythology, and the way they're bringing that with sort of a AAA coat of paint alongside gameplay that is reminiscent of something akin to what FromSoft might do, maybe with a little God of War in there, with boss battles that look utterly epic, with set pieces that look pretty jaw-dropping. The game has come out, it has gotten great fanfare, but the numbers, ladies and gentlemen, on day one, this game instantly peaked at over 1 million players. This right here is a tweet from the evening of August 19th, 2024. It was just this almost instant 1 million mark on Steam that the concurrent player numbers hit. But then we look at what's happened since and what's transpired over the last 3 days or so. And now we're looking at numbers that indicate that Black Myth Wukong has peaked at an all-time peak concurrent players of 2,415,000.
That's insane.
So right here we have the full kind of rundown of how this played out. So we kicked off with, roughly 1 million players, and then that became 2.2 million players. Then the following day, 2.3. Then the following day, 2.4. And now we've seen that dip slightly, but not by much. It's still roughly 2.3 million players who are coming back to play this game or who are buying into this game with the word of mouth that is spreading. Just absolutely incredible numbers. And we're looking at all-time peak concurrent player numbers that put Black Myth Wukong at number 2 when it comes to the
PUBG holds the most
peak concurrent players.
Damn, did I miss the wave of PUBG? Like, goddamn, PUBG had a 3.2 mil all-time peak. That's wild. You know what's fucked up? I genuinely think, I remember I used to play PUBG a little bit. I genuinely think PUBG probably would have been the best. It's probably the best battle royale, in my opinion. Because Fortnite sucks because of the fucking building. Like genuinely, Fortnite sucks because of the building. I understand it's like very popular, but it's like a bunch of kids, right? And then Warzone. I haven't played Warzone because I just don't like COD anymore. Like COD, I've given up on COD. I cannot be honest. Fucks to play that game anymore. And then what other battle royale? I know a lot of people were talking about putting up a battle royale on the Halo Infinite, and honestly, at this point, I don't think Halo Infinite needed a battle royale. It's just 343 is just so trash at handling Halo in general that whether they put a battle royale in Halo Infinite or not, that game still would have bombed. I don't know how Halo Infinite is doing now. It might be doing better, but I haven't checked. But off the top of my head, yeah, I can't, like, for me, I think PUBG was like the best battle royale. Because it did start the trend. I think PUBG was like the first battle royale that like really put it on the map. I don't think it's the first ever battle royale. I'm not gonna say that, but I do think PUBG was like the first battle royale that put battle royale on the map. And then Fortnite, I don't know how Fortnite made it so big, but they did, and they did it very well. And then after Fortnite, it was just copy paste, and then I think Warzone did an all right job based on how many people are playing with it. But then after that, battle royale kind of just sunk to the floor. The only real battle royale games that people are playing right now are probably just Warzone, Fortnite, and from the looks of this, I guess PUBG as well. I didn't know PUBG was still on like that.
We have ever seen on a video game on Steam. PUBG Battlegrounds still remains untouched with 3.2 million players, but it beat Palworld, freaking Counter-Strike 2, Lost Ark, Dota, and as far as single-player games go, which is what Black Myth Wukong is, it beat Cyberpunk 2077, Elden Ring, Hogwarts Legacy, Baldur's Gate.
It's such a shame that Cyberpunk is that low. I feel like Cyberpunk, with how long people have been waiting for Cyberpunk 2077, I feel like it should have been like top 3. And it's so sad that it's not, because, bro, I remember that launch, bro. I was not one of the people that was excited for Cyberpunk 2077 because I kind of just forgot about it with how long the development was. But I know people that were like, bro, I know people who took time off from work to play that game on launch, and I remember the launch was so bad it was actually funny, and it sucks because I feel like if Cyberpunk actually launched like properly, fully finished, not with all these bugs, bro, I feel like it would have been like top 3. Like people were waiting for Cyberpunk 2077.
8-3. And that's what's especially crazy about this game achieving such numbers, is that it's not this epic multiplayer live service thing. It is a single player experience. And then the reviews, looking at them, you can see how many players have engaged with the game based on the fact that it's already got almost 300,000 reviews and the game's only been out for 3 days, with an overwhelmingly positive score of 96%.
Damn.
And I mean, the game has gotten a lot of praise for its combat and boss battles. Also, the presentation of this game is absolutely gorgeous. Now, while we're talking about how gorgeous this game looks, we can also talk about displays that can be used to really make the game's visual shine.
Oh, gotta love
which
that
brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Rainio
Sorry, bro,
Air 2S.
gonna skip that.
So, all right, we got insane Steam peak concurrent player numbers. We've got overwhelmingly positive reviews. So I guess then the next question becomes, how many copies has the game sold? The numbers on that front are insane as well. The official Black Myth Wukong Twitter page recently tweeted the following. It reads right here, Black Myth Wukong has sold 10 million copies across all platforms. Thank you to all players worldwide for your support and love. It's also worth noting that the game hasn't come out on Xbox yet. It will at some point. It's out on PC.
I do think it's fair to say, though, that a very good chunk of that is the Chinese market, because I do think because it's made from a Chinese developer, and that definitely did help the sales. Because I feel like if an American company released this, like if Activision Blizzard released this, it probably wouldn't have sold 10 million. Even like if they kept everything the exact same. Like, they didn't change anything. They didn't do any of the Activision bullshit where they put microtransactions for different skins or whatever. Like, if they just kept everything the same, but it was Activision Blizzard that released this, I don't think it would have sold 10 million.
And PlayStation 5 right now. But yeah, I mean, 10 million units sold, a single player game, 10 million units across 3 days is
that's
unprecedented. It's insane to see numbers like these. This is
I don't think there's ever been a launch like that since Halo 2 or Halo 3. No, even then, even then with Halo 3, because I remember the biggest launch of video game history was one of the Halo games, and I think it was either Halo 2 or Halo 3. I don't remember, but even then, I don't think it was 10 million. Let's just for argument's sake, let's say it's Halo 3. I think for Halo 3, I think it was like 3 or 4 mil on the first day. And then I don't think it went that much higher after that. Maybe another mil after the second day, but after that, I don't think it went that much higher. I actually don't remember. But yeah, I actually think that's like the biggest launch in gaming history. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think, like, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else. The only thing I can think of is like Halo 3, which sold like not that much. I think it was like 3 to 5 mil. That's what I'm thinking for Halo 3.
By the way, Game Science being the development studio of the game. It's their third game that they've made since their founding back in June of 2014. So this is a studio that was started by former Tencent employees who just wanted more creative autonomy. And Black Myth Wukong, it was kind of a big gamble for them. They clearly put everything into this
Wow, talk
in
about
terms
a
of
talk about a
financial
success story.
investment and manpower
Talk
and
about a
resources
backstory.
to really kind of make their AAA mark in this industry. And I have little doubt that this game has made its money back. We're talking about roughly 600 million US dollars in revenue, looking at 10 million copies sold in roughly 3 days.
Yeah,
now, it is important to
goddamn.
understand where these numbers are coming from. Keep in mind that Game Science is a Chinese development studio, and the mythology that they're tackling is pretty much the most well-known legend in China. And so a lot of the players who are engaging with this game are very much Chinese, and China is a country with a population of like 1.4
that's what I
billion,
figured, yeah.
roughly. And if we look at numbers and current data, there's a clear sign that the majority of players for Black Myth Wukong are in fact Chinese. And so this game has garnered a lot of fanfare.
Yeah, because the Chinese market is massive, right? So that's what I was thinking, because I know this is a Chinese developed game. And honestly, we've been seeing a lot of Chinese games, like Chinese developed games, really hit the mainstream, at least here in North America. And it's actually very interesting to see, because honestly, I hate saying this, but pre-Genshin Impact, I don't think I saw many Chinese AAA games. Most of them were mobile games from like Tencent that like people like kind of just played on the phone or downside, right? Because the Chinese market was get the mobile players, because most Chinese people most Asian people play on the phone, right? Because they play to work, they on the go, they don't really have a home console system or PC that they play on, right? So most of it was just mobile games that people would play on the go. And I think like pre-Genshin Impact, I don't think we saw many like Chinese developed games that were like PC only. I mean, Genshin Impact wasn't PC only; it was mobile as well. But like if you like when you play Genshin Impact, it feels like a AAA game, right? And it, like seeing like the development of all that, like pre-Genshin Impact, I don't think there was that many Chinese games that people really knew about here in the West and in North America. And it's like now after that, we're seeing a lot more Chinese games out here in the West, and seeing how like goddamn like, and because a lot of these games are kind of like devoid of like any of the fucking woke shit that we have in the West, and seeing them blow these games out of the water, it's actually kind of funny. I'm gonna keep it real. like like the whole controversy with Genshin, how they hate racist people, but like they're still doing millions of dollars every month. And then like and then with Wukong, like I think they straight up said, nah, don't talk about feminist propaganda here, we don't give a fuck about that shit over here. And people were like, all right, I'm down. And here we go, they made roughly 600 million revenue, possibly more, well, probably more. And that's wild.
And a lot of attention in the country from which this mythology originates, which actually makes a lot of sense. And you can especially glimpse this when you look at the fact that if you go to the language tab here for reviews surrounding this game, when you compare English reviews versus other languages, you can see
majority
that
probably Chinese.
English accounts for a minuscule number of reviews. Total number of reviews is 407,000 across all languages.
That's like less than
only 17,000 of those, over 17,000 of those are in
it's
English.
like less than
and obviously
20%.
that 407,000 figure also counts for other regions as well. But it's safe to bet that, yeah, the majority of that huge number of reviews comes from China. And so looking at the ratio of English reviews versus other language reviews, it's safe to say that the majority of sales surrounding this game comes from China. And somebody kind of aptly described the Chinese market and the fact that in the country there are over 750 million gamers, more than the entire US population, with 20% year-over-year growth. And people are asking how a game based on the most popular national legend of all time is beating records. And the reason for this aggressive tone is that some people are getting mad at folks who are highlighting the fact that the majority of players are from China. I don't know why that's cause for hostility.
Yeah, well, I don't know why that. Obviously, people are gonna get mad at that because it's Twitter. Twitter will get mad at you if you say you like pancakes. But like, nah, that's just fact, right? This game being Chinese, marketed to Chinese players, and being known and being based off the most popular national legend of Chinese culture, which is Journey to the West, it's gonna make the most money, right? And like it's gonna have the most outreach. And that's why I said, like, if this game was released by like Activision Blizzard or like EA or Bethesda, right? If this was released by like an American publisher and nothing about the game was changed, like it was literally the exact same, no microtransactions, no nothing, it was the exact same, it would not do as well.
Silly, that's just the numbers, that's just facts. And we're still looking at numbers that suggest that the game sold still a couple million copies in, regions outside of China. So here's an article that took a look at VG Insights, which basically takes data and roughly estimates sales and the like. And according to VG Insights, China accounts, based on their analysis, for roughly 80% of total sales for Black Myth Wukong.
I mean, that makes sense.
And so that means that roughly 8 million copies sold came from China. And I mean, that's still 2 million copies sold, in the West and other regions.
Yeah,
so
that's still wild.
That's still pretty good figures. The numbers are still pretty solid, for this being a new IP, kind of making its debut worldwide. Even just looking at numbers outside of China, it's pretty commendable performance. But yeah, it's important to have context for how this game achieved such insane sales in such a short period of time. There's just a huge population of Chinese gamers.
It's just a very big market. No, that's why a lot of these companies, they're trying to make mobile games, right? Because a lot of these American companies are trying to push towards mobile games, because whether you like it or not, mobile players are like the vast majority of gamers in this day and age. People who play on the phones, they're way more than people who play on PCs or gaming consoles. So a lot of these game companies are trying to shift towards selling and marketing to mobile players, and most mobile players are in China, right? China has one of the biggest populations on the world. They mostly play on the phone. It's a market that a lot of these companies are just going to go towards, because it's easy money, right? And that's why, like, and I know I said it's easy money, and that might not be true, but it's like, realistically, a lot of these mobile games are actually like dog shit, right? But they still make a lot of money because they just trigger a lot of things that mobile players fall victim to, which would be like microtransactions, spontaneous spending, first buy or first buy, like discount, things like that. And that's what makes the big bucks. And like, as much as you want to sit here and complain about it, mobile gaming is the biggest market when it comes to gaming. And that's why mobile games will continue to exist. They'll only get bigger. There'll only be more precedent, or there'll only be more what's the word I'm looking for? There'll only be more abundant, right? They're gonna be everywhere, right? And it sucks, because mobile games, they don't really have that much effort put into them, but the reality is, it doesn't really how much effort you put into something. What matters is how you market it, how you sell it, and if it has something that people are willing to spend money on, right? Effort means fuck all. So that's why, like, it sucks. It really does suck. But a lot of these trashy mobile games, they make more money than you think, because the market is just that big.
We're drawn to this game about this iconic mythology and character and legend. I myself have played a couple hours of Black Myth Wukong, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. It is somewhat FromSoft-esque, but with action that's a little more fast-paced. It's not perfect by any means. I do think there are aspects of the level design that leave something to be desired. Like if you're expecting FromSoft style level design where it's this one seamless world where everything kind of loops around and connects to itself, that's not what this is. This is a fairly linear experience, and there are some sort of more open areas where you can explore a little bit. But it's relatively, I'd say, rudimentary exploration, and then the sort
That's
of
fine.
ads and the
I don't
weaker
need open
enemies
world.
in between boss battles.
That's fine. I don't need open space. I don't care if it's linear. As long as the linear is done well, I don't give a fuck if it's linear.
They're not all that compelling to fight. They're fodder. There are some performance issues, at least on PC, and this is with a 4090, so it's not perfect. But like when you get to what the game does best, which is the boss battles and the combat and the way Wukong's abilities expand all the transformations and abilities that you unlock and spells and you name it, and how all of that comes together when you fight these epic boss battles for a really cinematic and satisfying combat experience combined with the incredible presentation of this game, not just in terms of fidelity, but also its aesthetic and the way it brings the Wukong mythology to life in such high fidelity, but also just, I mean, the attention to detail in the creature designs, the character designs, the monster.
I will give it this. It does have a very interesting art style, which is like, it's not just dark and, at least from this, right? At least from this, what I'm seeing, it's not really like dark and gloomy, but the way the shading is done and like how the art style is done, where it's like it's not like that high fidelity graphic, which is fine. Like high fidelity graphics, nobody, like at this point, I think people are starting to hop off the boat of high fidelity graphics, which obviously I think is a good thing. Even though it's not that high, like the graphics aren't that high fidelity, it still looks very good because of the art style and the way they shaded everything, and it looks really good. I'm very honest.
Designs and how cool the boss battles are and the satisfying challenge that it offers. Ultimately, there is much more of a net positive in my experience playing this game than negatives.
Look at that shit. Look at that freeze frame right there.
Playing this game, and how cool the boss battles are and the satisfying challenge that it offers. Ultimately, there is much more.
Fuck, I didn't pause in time.
Ultimately,
hold on, I'm trying to get to it. There it is. Look at that. That's a fucking wallpaper right there. If it wasn't that much motion blur, but like that's a fucking wallpaper right there.
Much more of a net positive in my experience playing this game than negatives. I'm personally having a really good time. And as someone for whom, when it comes to FromSoft games, the boss battles are my favorite part. I don't mind that this game is pretty much like a boss rush with some environmental traversal in between. I don't care either. The environmental traversal.
I don't care either. I don't care if the game's a boss rush. Boss rushes are really fun if the bosses are fun to fight. Like this is the issue. Like a lot of people or a lot of gaming developers feel like they need to make their games a lot more complicated than they do. Like I promise you, a game that's like a linear like boss rush, as long as the bosses are all unique in their own way and they're all very fun and interesting to fight, bro, people will play that game till Kingdom Come. It really is. They're like a lot of these games all these developers are trying to make their games way too complicated, and they're like really, and it's too much. It's too much. Like a linear boss rush game, bro, I'll play the fuck out of that. As long as the bosses are fun or fun to fight, bro, I'm all about that.
Universal felt a bit more substantial and not just like a small bridge between boss battles. So that's, I'd say, my one criticism. But generally, this is a fun action game that I think is worth checking out and that I think people really appreciate. You can tell that they really put their hearts and souls into this one. And if they plan to make more of this type of game, I'm curious to see just, the kinds of improvements they can make with future entries. I mean, if this is how they kick things off with this IP, I mean, it can only get that much better from here. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of everything you need to know about what's going on with Black Myth Wukong, my thoughts on its success, and why its success came to fruition the way it did alongside.
But I swear it like pissed off everybody on Twitter. Is there another video I can watch? I swear Black Myth Wukong like pissed off so many people. It's like so many of the woke community on Twitter because it was good. Like, am I crazy? All right, yeah, we're doing it. We're doing a 2-for-1 today. We're doing a 2-for-1
Hey,
today.
what's up, guys? Riff here. So today,
Or is he just gonna talk about the same thing? Oh yeah, here we go.
whether it's the small games that are barely even achieving a room full of players,
Bro, 9 all-time peak of 232. Jesus Christ. Forspoken, bro. I remember people shit on Forspoken so much.
at their peak height in the last 24 hours, or the big trend to the downfall, are pretty shocking. Now, the development team Game Science behind this game gained a lot of favor.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. This is what I heard
by
about.
rejecting a $7 million consultation fee from Sweet Baby. And in the wake of that, they became the enemy of games journalists.
So I don't know. I didn't hear about any of this because I just kind of stay away from shit like this. I didn't hear about any of this, right? But after the game came out, I did hear like it was apparently Sweet Baby Inc. like basically tried to threaten them, be like, "Hey, give us $7 million, or we say your game is racist." And they essentially just said, "Fuck you, we don't care."
Journalists who then after released a series of hit pieces accusing this company and its developers of many different things, including sexism in their workplace, claims that have been completely debunked.
It's a game about a fucking monkey. What do you mean sexism? What the fuck? Bro, these people will say anything.
And are likely the result of intentional mistranslations designed to hurt the reputation of this company. In fact, these same reporters sharing these false claims are the ones saying the silence of the company on this matter is going to lead to the downfall of the game. In fact, we even saw a recent review
about
2 days ago coming from Screen Rant, where they not only gave a negative review of Wukong, they also said this game lacks in diversity. Well, how did these relate?
What does diversity have to do with a good game? This is the thing. Like, this is the thing. If you're gonna say like the game lacks diversity, you need to explain and articulate why diversity matters in a fucking video game. Like, why? How does making the characters more diverse make the game better? Like, how does it make the game better? Not like how does it make a game make you feel better? How does it having a diverse cast make the game play better? How does it make it more fun? How does it keep you engaged? Like, what the fuck? What does that have to do with anything?
Smear campaigns go? Not so well. Here are the numbers from earlier today on the Black Myth Wukong Steam page. As you can see, a very overwhelmingly high percentage of positive reviews, and at one point reaching a total player number of 2,125,000 players in game at once. That is a record-shattering number, by the way. And this whole situation involving the development team in a desperate attempt to make this game fail. And in turn, they fail because Black Myth Wukong is being praised heavily across the board.
And I think this is going to be a catalyst to like a movement with players, right? I'm not sound like a whole revolutionary thing here, but if you really notice, especially in the gaming industry, that a lot of companies, a lot of people are just done with the DEI hires and like diversity bullshit. Like I think it was Microsoft that like fired all of their DEI hires. Like, I don't remember which company. I think it was Microsoft. They like got rid of all of their DEI hires, and like other companies are starting to do that as well. And it's like, yo, people are just like, I think you're getting to the point now where people are kind of just done with this woke shit, and it's really starting to show. At least in the gaming community. I don't know about the rest of the world, the rest of the people that actually touch grass, but I think Black Myth Wukong is going to be the centerpiece that people are going to point to when we say we don't give a fuck about woke shit. Get it out of our stuff, and then they'll point to Black Myth Wukong because look at it, it shattered numbers and like it shattered numbers and shattered records, and the developers literally said fuck you to the woke to fucking Sweet Baby Inc., which is like the fucking queen of DEIs and woke shit and wokeness. So I think like now, like literally we're heading in the path. I think we're slowly heading the path where like a lot of people are just like they're done with the wokeness, and we're gonna start seeing it less and less in video games. That's what I believe.
And is generating numbers that we never really see. In fact, if you look at the top records from Steam, you can see with that number they posted they just barely passed Palworld for that peak player number, putting them in second place all time. In fact, Palworld even acknowledged this and congratulated Game Science for achieving this very impressive number. And when you look at the titles in this top records list, they completely blow any single player game out of the water. The number is going to be very hard to beat in the future.
And what's interesting, I didn't even look at this when we were watching Young Yeah. A lot of these games that are in the top like records, more of them are single player than I thought. Like I think Baldur's Gate 3 was single player. You had Elden Ring. Then we got Power. I've never touched Power World, so I'm not gonna say if that's single player or not. I think that's multiplayer. What else? New World is New World's massive like an MMO, or is that single? I think New World's an MMO. Don't know what the fuck Banana is, but I know Baldur's Gate was single player. Cyberpunk 2077 I think was single player. I don't know if there was an online aspect to it. And then Elden Ring. The point is that there's a lot more single player games on here than I thought there would be. Some of them I don't recognize. Like I never played Lost Ark, so I don't know if that's single player or not. It's probably multiplayer. Power World, I think Power World's multiplayer. But Elden Ring makes sense. And Baldur's Gate 3, and then we got Black Myth Wukong on there as well. And I think Cyberpunk 2077. So there's more single player games on here than I thought there would be. I legit thought like Elden Ring and Black Myth Wukong would be the only ones.
It's going to have to be an incredibly hyped up and very good quality game to achieve something like that. So it's very clear. Gamers chose Wukong. They chose the monkey, okay? What did they not choose? Well, a lot of other disasters that we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks and months. And here's a small snapshot of those games. So everything you're looking at right now is either a recent Sweet Baby product or a game that was heavily promoted by games journalists, the same ones who have been attacking Wukong and its development team. As you can see, they are abject failures.
Bro, this is actually sad.
Small games that are barely even achieving a room full of players at their peak height in the last 24 hours, or the big AAA titles like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Seeing this is fucking abysmal. Like 17 all-time peak of 482. A lot of bro, these are actually like abysmal. Like I think Forspoken was like the biggest one, but even that, only 26 playing right now, or 26 concurrent. Bro, that's abysmal.
Justice League, which achieved an all-time peak of 13,000 players. Compare that to the 2.1 million of Wukong, and on top of that, nowadays, only a few months after the release, they can barely get a peak over 200 in the last 24 hours. These games have completely flopped, and it's not surprising. They are infected with Sweet Baby. And Wukong and Game Science saw the trend. Not only have they had a history of not wanting woke nonsense in their games, they saw Sweet Baby in the way.
Yeah, legit. I feel like a lot of gaming publishers should look at Black Myth Wukong and be like, should look at Black Myth as an example and be like, yeah, we should not work with Sweet Baby Inc. Like straight up, I don't understand why a lot of companies aren't doing this more. Like, just look at Sweet Baby Inc.'s games. All of them are failures. So why would you use them as an endorsement? Like, what the fuck? Why would you use them as an endorsement if all the games they make are, if all the games they endorse are fucking failures? I don't get that. Like, as a publisher, look at Sweet Baby Inc.'s history. Look at how much they failed, and why would you take their money or give them money? Why would you do that?
Way that gamers have been responding to anything they're associated with, and they told Sweet Baby to piss off. They wanted nothing to do with them, and it's amazing how much goodwill that generated for Wukong and Game Science, and all of these games affiliated with Sweet Baby and also games journalists in general. They are terrible. They have completely bombed across the board.
And what's even worse for that is because Sweet Baby Inc. is like hated by so many people, there is, like he mentioned a good point, there's no more goodwill for Sweet Baby Inc. So that is going to plague any future game that Sweet Baby Inc. even touches. Because as soon as they hear that Sweet Baby Inc. touched it, they're not going to buy it. That's legitimately what's going to happen, right? Like people severely underestimate how good of an asset goodwill is. Like having people that will play your games not just because they like the game, but because you're the one that designed it, you're the one that published it. That is an asset that people severely underestimate. Like it really is.
And really, nobody should feel bad for them. In fact, in the primarily the Western gaming sphere, there's an attitude of disdain from the developers towards potential.
I remember that. I think I watched the video of him saying it. It was like, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And guess what? Nobody bought it. I remember that was so funny. Oh my God. That was so fucking funny.
So customers, they are almost telling you not to buy their game, and then they're doing a shocked Pikachu face when you're not buying the game. In fact, with a lot of the titles we just looked at, the developers of those games have been spotted on social media on many occasions, openly sharing their hatred of gamers, even making racist comments, starting harassment campaigns against their critics, and so on and so forth. They are no way entitled to having people purchase their game when they have such a disdain for these potential customers. However, there are some people defending these flops, okay? I saw this recent take from a few days ago from Nadeshot here, and I'm glad people are dunking on this because it is absolutely terrible. In this clip we're about to...
No, like, okay, it's not that people want games to fail. They want games that don't make sense to fail. Like, what... let's watch the video.
He's basically blaming the gaming community for the failure of a lot of recent games. It's their fault. It's not the development team's fault. Nobody else's. It's the people not buying it. He believes that the gaming community wants things to fail.
There's something weird that has happened in the gaming community. I'm serious too when I say this. For some reason, everybody in the gaming community wants games to fail. It's very bizarre. Like the whole...
You know what? I'm not even gonna dunk on him that much because it's true. It's true. There are a lot of games that people want to fail, right? But you have to ask the question: why do they want it to fail, right? Why do they want these games to fail, right? It's because the games have predatory practices that like take advantage of people. It's because the game developers are like shitty people, or it's just because the game isn't good. Like you can't, like, to make a bold and general statement that the gaming community want games to fail. It's like, why though? Why do they want it to fail? Because I promise you, majority of the games that people have said wanted to fail were dog shit games. Like, let's keep it real. Forspoken, Concord, Diablo Immortal, Anthem, if anyone remembers that game. like all these games, people did want these games to fail, but not because they're just spiteful and hate video games. It's because those games sucked in one way, shape, or form. This is what it is.
Whole thing with X Defiant is still like stumps me to this day. People complain about not having enough games to play, but when new games come out,
no. People complain about not having enough good games to play. Let's keep it fucking for real. In the last 5 years, can you name more than 10 games that have come out that like you think are genuinely really fucking good in the last 5 years? Can you name a game that's come out in the last 5 years that I think are really fucking good? Name 10 games, right? Because like I can really only think of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2. When did Elden Ring come out? I don't remember when Elden Ring came out. I'm not going to mention Elden Ring. All right. So, Final Fantasy Rebirth, Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War. What else? Fucking Pal World. Fucking. Bro, I can't even name one else. Names off the top of my head. Like, if you can't, like, there hasn't been 10 games that have come out in the last 5 years that like have been really fucking good. And that's just the reality of it. Like gaming has been AAA gaming has been on decline. Most people are just playing indie games. Like they'll have like one live service game that they just play repeatedly, and then they'll have like a bunch of indie games. Like AAA gaming has been on decline, and that's just the truth.
Even before they had played it, they're like, that game sucks, I'm not going to play it. Listen, man, if we keep tearing down these studios trying to make good games, like, yeah, not every single one is going to be fun, and not every single one is going to be a hit. But
the problem is that majority of them suck. The issue.
Sit here like preying on its downfall before the game even comes out. What do you think's going to happen? Nobody's going to be investing in gaming and making new games.
Like I said, I'm glad people are dunking on this take because it is an absolute deflection of blame. They are trying to basically say that developers aren't responsible for the failure of their own games and also the terrible PR that they create for themselves. It's
true.
actually the players who are responding with their wallets. And that is a ridiculous claim. People are looking for games to rally behind. I think these series of events over the past 24 hours are really telling of where things should be heading, okay? Two completely polar opposite products here with deserved results. So on the one hand, you have the success of Wukong over the first 24 hours since its release. And then on the other hand, another announcement that just happened, we might talk about this more in a future video, but it was announced this morning that Star Wars The Acolyte Season 2 has been canceled. And that feels very much deserved. However, much
I know
like
nothing
this
about this
claim
Star Wars
from
Acolyte.
Nadeshot,
I don't
the
know anything about
supporters
Star
of
Wars.
Star Wars The Acolyte are trying to blame the people who were critical of the show or did not want to watch the show at all. They are blaming those people for the downfall of Star Wars The Acolyte, when in reality, it lies with the people who created the show and the people who are trying to support it as some sort of an agenda push. It is their fault. Star Wars The Acolyte made the decision to make a product that resembles...
Like, the answer is very simple. The answer is very simple. You need to stop pushing your fucking narrative. Just make a story. Stop making a narrative. Like, I don't know, like... It's such a, I don't know why it's such a complicated thing for all these like writers and producers and developers to understand, is that when you push a narrative, when you push your own narrative in your product, you are isolating all the people that disagree with you. That is not a smart thing to do. You are like anyone who doesn't like when it comes to Forspoken, right? Or like all games like Forspoken, right? That clearly push a narrative that women good, men bad, something like that, right? That's just me speaking broadly, right? When you push an narrative like women good, men bad, well, what do you think is gonna happen? The men are not gonna like the game because they're portrayed as evil pieces of shit. Like, what the fuck? It's like when you push a narrative in your game or in your story, you are isolating all the people that don't agree with you. When the reality is, you need to make a good story, regardless of any moral value that you have, right? And then if the story is good, people of all walks of life will come together and rally behind it. That's what you need to do. Like, you need to stop. It boggles my mind how all these people will push an agenda and then be shocked that when the people who don't agree with you don't buy your product. Like, that's a dumb thing to do.
Almost nothing that Star Wars has stood for many years. And then the Star Wars fans tuned out and they spent all of their time and attention catering to a loud but niche corner of the internet that represents places like Twitter. And that's already a small number of people and a small number of potential views. And then those people propping up Star Wars The Acolyte for whatever culture war they're in, they didn't even watch anyways. It's their fault. It's not the fault of people who said, I don't like what I'm seeing, I'm not going to watch that. It's the fault of the creators and the people who were pandered to but didn't show up anyways. That's the fault here. And having those two events come together is just perfect. And that's like a very similar claim that we saw with this clip we saw from Nadeshot here. But he claims nobody wants to rally behind games. Everyone wants these games.
What is this? I need to see this. How Black Myth Wukong's developer history of sexism is complicating its journey to the West. Clearly didn't complicate anything, but let's actually read this article. I had this bard strumming on a 3-string instrument called a saxion, sits leisurely on an exposed root and gnarly. Is this parched wilderness from grass bushes, yet from the skies several cloaked figures give chase. Okay, this is just fucking synapses or something like that. I don't know.
Retractions of these slanderous hit pieces from IGN and all the people spreading it. Are we going to see anything? Because the author of that hit piece, the initial hit piece on Wukong and Game Science,
private or shit.
They are private on social media. They have said that they're basically not available. No one can touch them. They don't want to talk about anything. We even saw the recent article from a few days ago, the review, where they said that Wukong is a lackluster game because it lacks diversity. They're hiding the author's name now on the article. Like, there is no accountability in the space, and you have all of...
Yeah, that's a very funny thing to do. It's like you're gonna talk shit but can't take shit. That's very interesting. But no, it's just very clear that Black Myth Wukong, I genuinely believe that we're gonna start seeing a lot of DEI games like Sweet Baby Inc. endorse games and like shit like that, people are like, we're gonna start seeing like people be like, no, we're not gonna touch these fucking games because they are probably gonna suck based on history, and they're gonna look at, they're gonna use Black Myth Wukong as the centerpiece and be like, and they're gonna show up like, hey, you don't need to do this shit. You don't need to follow the you don't need to pander to these people on Twitter to have your game be successful, i.e. Black Myth Wukong, i.e. Doom Eternal, i.e. fucking Power World. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't need to pander to people to make a good game or to have your game be successful. You want your game to be successful, make a good game that has an engaging story that doesn't push a narrative that's gonna cut people off because they don't agree with your narrative. Like, just, it's really boils down to that, right? But hey, what do I know, right? But I think I'm gonna end it there. This is like what, probably like an hour into this. But I think I'm gonna end it there. Black Myth Wukong is breaking numbers. I'm curious to see where it's gonna go from here. Obviously, it's probably gonna start dipping in like a week. I think I give it a week before it starts significantly dipping because it is a single player game, right? So I think after a week, people are gonna start playing, or people are gonna start beating it. So I think like I give it a week, and then like numbers are gonna start dipping. But that's just natural. Like, nothing we can do about that. That's just natural. But the game was very much a success. I can't wait to play it. I'm probably not gonna be able to play it for another week or two. Because I have shit going on, and then I'm probably gonna stream the Genshin 5.0 story because I am like, even though I talk about a lot of shit with Genshin, I am excited for the 5.0 story. Yeah, that's basically that's where I'm gonna end it. Black Myth Wukong, it is making history.